All right, guys, welcome to the Wellspring podcast. We're so happy that you decided to listen to us. I'm not Pastor April once again. I did so good the first time that they have now allowed me to do it a second time. And we have another person here. You guys saw him on Sunday, Pastor Joey Ruggiero.
The shorter one and much more white one.
Yes, but still just as hyper.
Yeah, just as hyper.
Our new campus pastor.
Yeah.
Also my ex-youth pastor.
Ex-youth pastor. Sounds like you broke up
Still
with
my
me.
still my mentor.
Sounds like I broke up with him or something. I did not break up with him.
Cool. So we just want to talk about the message, serve, boost,
excited. Yeah.
Serve weekend. So we talked about the Good Samaritan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You were part of some of those live videos too.
Yeah.
To the production suite and to the cafe
Yeah.
and to Next Steps, which, I mean, you're over now, lobby area.
Yeah.
You're over that.
Yep.
So just give us a little glimpse how cool that was to see all that.
I think Lanisa did an incredible job. Again, you guys don't see all the stuff that we do on the back end, which is great. We actually love that. Sometimes whenever you don't know, you're like, wow, this is running really, really smoothly. Well, Lanisa, PJ, Christine, they did an incredible job knocking that out. And even Corey from all the tech side, there's so much that goes into our services to just serve you guys, but also to serve the community and the people that are all around us to be able to encounter Jesus. And so that number one, I love giving praise where praise is due.
Yeah.
But two, the serve fair. I know we had like 4 different names, but we'll call it serve fair, I believe. It was incredible. The serve boost, serve fair, it was a lot of things. But man, we had, I believe this morning when we woke up, we had 114 people that signed up to serve, which is incredible. We're in the process of trying to connect with all of them. And so that's amazing in general, because what I saw as Pastor Joey and I shared was I saw our people that are in the Ruskin South Shore area going from just consumers to now I want to be a contributor. Yeah. And that's, we go from, man, I just want to love God. I'm here to church just to receive from the Lord, which yes, you're here to go to church to receive from him, but that's a byproduct when you lift him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I love is seeing people take action in also the next commandment that Jesus gave us, which was love people, and how can we love people if we don't serve them? Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah. I think back to when you were still my pastor now, even more, but like when you were my youth pastor, I think you helped me understand that even more than I did before you even came on staff the first time. When I came to we called it Converge at the time. When I came to a Converge, I wasn't just attending. I wasn't just coming at 6:30, leaving at 8:30, having fun, but I was putting my time in. I was setting up the chairs, and I think that I would have never understood the power of putting your hand in something instead of just kind of being there. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I think sometimes I was talking to a previous leader of mine in the student ministry this past Sunday was, one of the most dangerous things is if we become complainers when we are consuming. Yeah. So we think that in those moments of, if I'm just sitting on the auditorium door and I see someone doing a job, or I see a ministry that's being missed, or I see people that are, not being loved as how I think they could be loved. And me, I go, man, well, wait a minute. If you're seeing those things or feeling those things, why don't you start contributing? Why don't you start doing kingdom work instead of just complaining work? Yeah. On top of that, for me, is the moments of, if you're complaining about a ministry, you don't even know what the weight, the shoulders that leader, from Pastor Ryan leading the creative, from you doing MD and doing all this stuff within worship, from Corey doing tech, even Pastor Joey Adkins, for no one understands the mantle the Lord has given someone until you're literally wearing the mantle. And so even as a youth pastor, like Connor and I have had great conversations, and it's like, you just never know what the mantle of what someone's wearing. The same goes to fatherhood, motherhood, and so many other things. Like, you just don't know. So I would encourage us is, if you're listening to this podcast, my encouragement is that you are fully receiving from the Lord, that you are his child, and that in it, that our goal is to be able to be more like Jesus, right? Yeah. And so I don't ever see Jesus complaining. Yeah. About the Pharisees and the things that they did wrong. I don't see him complaining. I actually see him stepping in and doing things differently. Yeah. I see him loving people in a way that's like, so wait, you're not gonna go pick up the sheep out of the trench. You know, it's like
Yeah.
he's like helping them understand, like, don't just be a complainer in it. Like, let's take action and be lovers of people and, you know, the kingdom. So,
And you even take it to the Good Samaritan, what
good.
they talked about in the message. Like,
Yeah.
you had the Levite pass. And again, I think I knew this, but I never thought about it. Like, a Levite was the smartest Bible. Like memorized the whole Old Testament in that time. Like, and knew it all. It was all head knowledge, but didn't have the 18 inches to his heart to connect it to go help this Samaritan, you know, and then you have go help this hurt person, sick person. And the Samaritan, who was the lowest, looked down upon, the complete opposite of the Levite.
Half-breed.
Yes. Literally spat on by the Levites. Went up to this person and helped them. And how do you see that translate to a person that maybe wants to volunteer, maybe doesn't necessarily see the need to volunteer, maybe? How do you see that story translate to that?
Well, number one, there's people left and right that need us, whether it's in the McDonald's parking lot, whether it's as we're driving, whatever. There's you never know what a smile, what a wave, what a high five, what a kind look, what a kind word, what an encouragement, you know, all these things may do for someone. You just genuinely don't know how that will inspire someone to, man, it just was something different in that person. You know, you just don't know. But number one there. Number two, if you think you're holier than thou, which was the Levite, in reality, he was a priest, and he actually was meant to be, he was never meant to even associate with that person. In reality, that was like by laws and these different things. So like, even as you look at Levi, it's like, man, you would think that he would just do it because he just needs help. But it's like, no, I don't associate with those people. You know, we can get into political parties and all these things, but it's like, no, who are the people that we're choosing to not serve because we feel like, you know, whether politically, religiously, racially, whatever it is, I just don't serve them. When in reality, man, we're called to serve everyone. It's people. It doesn't say love Americans, doesn't say love, you know, God says love God and love people. And so I think in that Good Samaritan story in general, like, just because you've been saved for 50 years, it doesn't mean you get to coast off into the sunset. Like, step up, get in the trenches, love some people.
And you think about that, like, he got interviewed during second or third service. But Pastor Ron, who serves as one of our greeters, like, was a pastor for 40 years and still comes and serves.
Come on.
You even have Pastor Roger on our staff.
Pastor Roger.
That was an exexitive pastor
for 25 years.
Yes, and he's still serving as our care pastor here. And I think that's so admirable. I mean, I've only been in full-time ministry for less than 6 months.
I encourage people all the time, don't be a flash in the pan in the kingdom. Like, be truly so steady with the Lord. And no matter whether you find yourself in ministry, so the Levite, or whether you find yourself as a, you know, I can't even think of all there are three different types of them. But, you know, the Levite particularly, if you call yourself a shepherd, someone in the ministry, you know, don't be walking by people, you know, like, love on people, whoever you would consider the lesser than, when in reality, you know, Jesus says, if you want to be the first one in the kingdom, be the last, you know?
And you think about, like, sometimes people like you and me who are in full-time ministry, and even some of our volunteers that have been serving for a while can get into this lifestyle or habit of our serving stops after the 11:15 service, but our serving just begins after that service. Like, our serving is from Sunday afternoon till Sunday morning throughout the week. Like, that person that's short, that needs gas money, or that mom that needs help with their kids loading groceries into the car. Like, that's really when
I'll call the rubber meets the road.
Rubber meets the road.
Like, where the moments of, because again, anyone can perform for a day. Anyone can say, I have all these things in the right thing at the right moment. When you can be a Christian when you're in a room full of other Christians. We can be a follower of Jesus when we're in a room of other followers of Jesus. I can serve people when other people are watching me. That's actually also where the Lord talked in when he approached the Pharisees on their prayer life. Well, they would go and they'd pray on the sidelines. They tell everyone about how they're praying, and they'd use big words. And Jesus says, don't be like them. How you serve people, do it in secret. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing, you know? And so there's so many moments that we're looking for. In reality, I would say sometimes in our service, we have to be aware that we need to stop looking for our selfish, like, this makes me feel good, so when I serve people, I feel good. Like, sometimes that's a byproduct, but in reality, sometimes serving people is a sacrifice. It's actually, like, when Jesus died for us, Do you think that was like self-glorifying for him? Or do you think that was one of the biggest sacrifices that we ever done? Like that was our Savior did that, you know, when he washed his betrayer's feet. Oh my gosh, with Judas, like his 12 disciples, when he sat down to serve them, people that there was only one person of his disciples that were at the cross with him.
Yeah.
And everyone else dipped on him.
Yeah, you bring it even further. He was sitting with the lowest of the class, like 2 fishermen, a tax collector that like no one liked. I think about like the Chosen. I haven't watched a lot of episodes of The Chosen. But the part of
Matthew,
having to like literally got like a wagon under a blanket and had to go through the streets. That's the people that Jesus was sitting with.
Yes,
he wasn't sitting with the prophets and
he wasn't sitting with the Levites all the time. He even said, you know, again, my goal is not to be. I did not come for those that are healed. I'm coming for those that are broken. I've come for the lost sheep. You know, and so there's so many moments. I think sometimes as people we're actually secretly feeding into one of our biggest struggles as humanity, which is the 3 sins, you know, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of this life. I think sometimes even in the push of serving, we can be like, hey, come get stuff for you.
Yeah.
When in reality, my big encouragement to all of us is just humanity, of us as just sons and daughters of God, is in reality, maybe we need to stop looking at God of what can you give me and go to God, what can I give you?
Yeah.
Like our whole life, you gave everything for us. So why can't we give everything back? He gave us his breath. He gave us his blood. He gave us his body. He did all these things. So why can't we do the same? But we feel like we need a, like parking lot, right? It's really hot. I've served in parking lot many, many times. I am honored and blessed by every single one of you guys that serve in the parking lot. I'm honored and blessed by those who do greeting, honored and blessed you guys who do tech, like all these positions, the unseen positions, or the people that are in the background that are like, they're the lesser than. They are no lesser than Pastor Joey teaching. They are no lesser than. There is no lesser position inside of the body of Christ. Like, again, if an ear is complaining about a mouth, it's designed differently. That's the kicker. That's why I believe the Lord has given such a beautiful phrasing of the body. Like, you know, the hand can get really mad that the foot gets to walk. But in reality, hand, you've been designed for something. Just do what you've been designed for. So us as people, followers of Jesus, like, let's do what we're designed for. And I think one of the best spots in this from our surf era is like, just get plugged in. Just start, whether it is greeting, tech, worship, just kind of get your hands onto the plow and start pushing. And I believe the Lord, because again, you weren't gifted musically initially, but you put your hand to the plow. And the Lord showed you that you were gifted and talented in it through a lot of work and a lot of anointing. And the Father continued to bless you in that stuff.
I actually started in the parking team, so I was out.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
We were outside in the overhang in the small church right there. I was waving people in.
Waving in the umbrella life. Come on.
You kind of answered this on that point, but what would you say? You just can go deeper. What do you say to those that may not know their calling, or like they know they have a purpose, but they haven't found it yet? So what do you say to those people?
I would say first thing, one of the things that I battled with for a lot of my life, and I feel like most believers do because it's unintentional, is we have this terminology called legacy that's been in our blood. Like, what are you going to be remembered for? Like, that's like in our blood for some reason, right? And my question that I want to ask ourselves is, why do we want to be remembered instead of him? Are we going to be okay with my name being washed out, but the only name that's remembered? Man, there was some blonde-headed, red-bearded man that just kept talking about this dude named Jesus. He just never stopped. He never stopped about why. Like, I don't remember his name, but he kept saying Jesus. He kept saying Abba. He kept saying Yahweh. It's just, there's this name that keeps radiating. That's just weird. It's interesting. And so it's like, man, do I want to be remembered for that? So first question that we need to ask ourselves is, why do we want to be remembered? Right? And number two, the purpose for me in Scripture, it says our purpose for life. And that is to know Jesus and to be known by him. That's our first purpose. So if we can get our first purpose right, I believe the Lord will start revealing some of the reasons you are created and placed in this time frame.
Yeah.
So if our first purpose is Jesus, right? Okay, so to be known by him and to know him. That's my first purpose of life.
Yeah.
Then the Lord reveals giftings and anointings and creativity and all of the skills, the talents, the way you were raised and where he needs you in the right spot in the right city.
Yeah.
He does that stuff. But if we don't know him, we might not be able to steward when he reveals that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's for me. I would say the purpose, the first thing is to know Jesus. Like we need you to serve. Yes, Jesus needs you to serve. God needs you to serve. Like, but in reality, I don't want us, when we stand before him, for us to say, I did all these miracles. I cast out demons.
Yeah.
I healed the sick. I waved the parking flag. I gave coffee. I greeted people.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I just didn't know you. Like,
Yeah.
let us truly, our first goal in our lives be to know Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
And this,
you know?
I mean, I was just talking about this to someone the other day. Like, one of my biggest fears when I die and I go to heaven is and this is it's a little dark, but I mean, it's the truth. It's like,
It's true.
I don't want to get to heaven and look at all these people that are going the wrong way. I'm going up to heaven and they're going the other way, and and they're like, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
You never told me.
Right.
You served
Right.
like, oh, you gave me the money for the gas, or
Right.
you gave me, but you never told me.
Right.
Why did you never tell
Right.
me? And that's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and I think that's what a lot of people fall
Yeah.
into whenever they serve is like, I think they lose the vision. You know, like I feel like I fell into a period where I was still serving at this point.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
serving on the worship team, and I'd come in and not one time in my head would the thought pass, oh, this is for Jesus, or I'm worshiping Jesus. I would only think, oh, I better play the right chords,
Right.
or I better sing well,
Right.
or I hope the tech works right.
Yeah.
And the thought never passed my
Yeah.
mind. And as soon as I got convicted, the Lord convicted me, knocked me down,
Yeah.
and picked
Holy
me back
2x4.
up. Yeah. Just smacked me with the shovel in the back of the head. And now I walk in, if nothing goes right, if we're playing in a key and I'm playing in a completely different key, it doesn't matter. The Lord's still being glorified. You know, like I think we lose the vision. Like if the coffee isn't hot, and you pass it, the vision's still the Lord's still being glorified through
Well,
it.
I think it's a statement of going from people aren't task.
Yeah.
Right. And so we need to stop trying to do church and start being the church.
Yeah, because we use that phrase all the
Yes.
time, like, oh, it's not just a check mark.
It's not.
And we say that all the time, like,
Right.
when people MC
Yeah.
and stuff, we say that.
Right.
But that's really the truth.
Yeah.
This is not just, oh, I come to the 9:45 service,
Right.
and then we eat lunch after.
Yeah.
And then we watch it.
I got sports. I got this.
This
family.
is a part of your life.
Right.
And it's not even like Wellspring is a part of your life.
No.
The community
Yes.
that's here at Wellspring.
Well,
is a
because
part of
guess
your life.
what? Who knows? In 100 years, Wellspring may not be here.
Yeah.
50 years, 20 years. Who knows? Like churches come and go. People come and go. But the one thing that has lasted eternity from eternity time frame to generation has been Jesus.
Yeah.
And the gospel of that. And so we need to yoke our lives to the one that's going to last from generation to generation, and not just yoke our lives to a brand.
Yeah.
The brand is Jesus. We are like we're just co-branded. You know, that's all. We're just the brand at this area preaching Jesus, you know? And so I think really more than anything in our lives, like cling to Jesus. And as you plug in to serve, you'll realize that you start serving in the overflow of that relationship. Because if you're coming wherever you are in ministry, if you're serving from an empty cup, what you're giving people is you.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, what I'm giving people is me. And what I have to offer is minute compared to what Jesus has to offer. And so my goal is whenever I come and serve, because that's my job. I'm not just a pastor to sit on the sideline. You're not just, MD to just, cool, I'm holding a microphone. Like, no. I'm literally paid to serve people. That's my
Best job ever.
you know?
Yeah.
And so in reality, if I am coming like you, if I'm coming in the mindset of I'm here to do a task, we're going to continue to get off of our mark and forget our why, which in reality is to love God and love people. And so how do we achieve that? And how do we do that well? There's a lot of ways you can do that. We can do that with a bunch of lights. We can do that with no lights. We can do that with a podcast. We can do this with no podcast. There's a lot. It's like, okay, Lord, now what are we called to as a church in that? And so I think Pastor Joey did an incredible job sharing the vision of that story, the Good Samaritan. If you haven't read the Good Samaritan, I want to say whoa, almost slid right off of there. It's Luke 10. I was about to say, I almost said Matthew 10. Luke 10.
When I was pulling it up, I looked up John 10. So
yeah, hey, we're both off. It's okay.
Learning,
we're working on. But go check it out, read that story, and see how the Lord has it to apply to your life. There are some things that's coming down the pipeline here at Wellspring. So what are some of those things? What are you doing this Saturday, Dakota?
I've got a community event that we're having on September 1st. You should come to, if you're a young adult, come to Holmes Beach. Sign up for it on wellspringfl.com/events. And then
and if you're not a young adult, by the way, there are other events.
There's other ones.
There's a bunch of stuff. We're doing, so I don't even know how many things are we doing?
We have Simmons
do we have like
Park.
15 or 20? We have 11 things? Okay. I almost said 25
Pastor Ryan's
things. That's
over
a little
here
too many things, a little too excitement there.
We've got Simmons Park. We've got a lagoon.
Yep. We have a field day here.
Yeah.
I think we have bowling. I think we got a lot of stuff that's going on. So go to wellspringfl.com/events, go to the community, click on it, and then you can register for one of those. Some of those are free, some of them are paid, but go check it out. And then we have our big warrior breakfast. If you are a man from ages, if I'm correct, Pastor Ryan, ages 16 to anything 120, okay?
Oh my goodness.
Please come out. It is free. We want to bless you with food. We want to bless you here. And then so we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, awesome.
But, Dakota.
Thank you, Joe, for coming. This was awesome.
It's an honor,
really
man.
Thank you guys for listening. We've got services 8:15, 9:45, 11:15. We'd love to see you there, and have a good week.
Yeah, be blessed.